Sometimes it feels like the world forgets us after a certain age. The noise quiets down, invitations come less often, and the mirror, well, it doesn't quite reflect the person we remember from years ago. There's a strange ache that settles in, not of the body, but of the soul. An ache for meaning, for connection, for the feeling of being truly seen, heard, and cherished. And if you're watching this, you may have felt that ache too. Perhaps you've stood in the quiet of your living room, staring out the window at the world going by, wondering if your best days are behind you. Or maybe you've reached a point where everything feels like a repeat. Same conversations, same patterns, same longings buried beneath politeness and daily routines. But here's something I want you to hear with your heart, not just your ears. You are never too old to begin again. Let that settle in for a moment. Because beginning again isn't always about grand adventures or sweeping change. Sometimes it's simply about turning toward yourself with fresh compassion. It's about opening a window inside your life where the air had gotten a bit stale. About remembering that you're still growing, even if the world seems to slow down around you. After 50, the body changes. That's true. Women go through menopause, a transition that can feel like both an ending and a beginning. The hot flashes, the sleep disturbances, the emotional shifts, it can be confusing. It can feel like you're losing touch with the version of yourself you once knew. And for men, there's erectile dysfunction, changes in libido, and a subtle pressure as though masculinity were tied to performance rather than presence. These aren't small things. They shape how we feel about ourselves, how we approach relationships, even whether we dare to hope for love or intimacy again. There's often shame wrapped around these experiences, unspoken, heavy. Society doesn't talk about intimacy in older adults unless it's as a punchline. That's not just unfair, it's untrue. Because the need for connection, for tenderness, for being held and understood, never retires. Let me tell you about John and Michael. They met at a community gardening class in a small town in the north of England. Jean had been widowed for nearly a decade. Michael divorced for even longer. Neither of them had been looking for romance. They were just hoping for a quiet hobby and maybe a few kind conversations. But week after week, as they dug in the soil side by side, something softened. Jean confessed how lonely nights could get. Michael shared his fear that intimacy was behind him. They laughed about silly things, swapped soup recipes, and slowly, the fear gave way to warmth. It wasn't about grand passion. It was about presence, about two people, once strangers, finding something unexpected, a sense of home in each other. They told me later that what made it special wasn't the physical side, though they learned to navigate that with tenderness and care, but the emotional intimacy, the way they could talk freely without performance or shame, the way each wrinkle, each scar was accepted with grace. That kind of love doesn't come from youth. It comes from experience, from knowing what matters and what doesn't, from valuing a gentle touch over perfection and a shared silence over forced conversation. But connection like that doesn't begin with someone else. It begins inside. It begins when you look at your own reflection and say, I am still here. I am still worthy of love from myself, from others, from life itself. Yes, our bodies change, our stamina shifts, skin softens, joints ache. But what if we stop seeing these changes as losses and start seeing them as stories? Your laugh lines, they're maps of joy. Your stretch mark, signs of growth. The silver in your hair, that's the light of all the dawns you lived through. There is dignity in aging, There is beauty in softness, in knowing, in depth. You've loved and lost. You've raised children or nurtured friendships or rebuilt yourself after heartbreaks no one else saw. That resilience, that quiet courage, that's not something to hide. That's something to celebrate. And yet, it's easy to withdraw, to stop trying, to assume it's too late for change, whether in relationships, in purpose, or in self-belief. But it's not. Maybe you want to reconnect with your partner to break through the emotional distance that's crept in. It starts with one honest conversation. Maybe you've lost your spark after retirement, unsure what to do with all this space and time. Try something small. Pick up a brush, write a page, join a class, not to impress anyone, but to wake something up inside you. Maybe, just maybe, you're carrying regrets, things you wish you'd done differently, words you never said, relationships that drifted apart. Let me tell you this, regret is only heavy when you carry it alone. Share it, speak it, write it down, then let it become a bridge to something new. There's strength in starting again, in saying, I still have time to grow, to forgive, to fall in love with someone new, or with the life you're still building. Not long ago, I spoke with a woman named Gloria. She was 72 and had spent most of her life putting others first, her children, her husband, her aging parents. When her husband passed and the kids moved away, she was left with a quiet she hadn't expected. At first, she grieved. Then slowly, she began to listen to that quiet. She joined a storytelling group at her local library and week by week began to share her own voice. I thought I was too old to dream new dreams, she told me. Turns out, I was just beginning. Gloria now volunteers, tells stories at schools, and has made new friends who see her not just as a grandmother, but as a vibrant, wise woman with stories to tell. And you still have stories to tell too. Whether they're told aloud, shared with a loved one, or whispered in the quiet of your own heart, they matter. If you're facing emotional distance in a long-term relationship, know that it's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of change, and change invites reconnection. Ask questions gently. Share your fears openly. Seek counseling if it helps, not because you're broken, but because you care. If you're struggling with body image, look at your body not as an object, but as a living, breathing vessel that has carried you through decades of life. Touch it with kindness, nourish it. Adorn it with love, not criticism. You have permission to reclaim your confidence, to explore intimacy in new ways, to define beauty on your own terms. You are allowed to feel desirable at 60, at 70, and beyond. Because desire doesn't age, it evolves. And if you're feeling isolated, know that you're not alone. Somewhere out there, someone is waiting for a voice like yours, a story like yours, a presence like yours. This world needs your tenderness, your humor, your perspective. You are not a leftover. You are not a shadow. You are a sunrise in slow motion, more radiant with each moment. So take the walk, write the letter, make the phone call, book the class, wear the red lipstick, dance in your kitchen. Say the thing you've always wanted to say. You are never too old to begin again. And if this message touched something inside you, a memory, a longing, a flicker of hope, then please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to The Age of Beauty. Because this is just the beginning, and the journey ahead is filled with grace, courage, and a beauty that only time can create. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're still becoming.